to another Down and Dirty. We are live with Scott, Kim, and we've got this really cool, awesome chick. She's like a cool, awesome chick guest today. Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Kim. How are you today?
Good. Happy belated Canada Day. And you had Canada Day last Friday. We had 4th of July here on Monday in the States. So we're all holidayed out.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought the fireworks were over, but it turns out we've got one more big bang here today on the show. I'm pumped, so excited for this one.
Okay, just for the record, everybody that is tuning in, we are broadcasting live at Bold Radio Station. Big shout out. We love the team. They are awesome. I'm sitting back. I am sitting back because Scott's taken over today because we got Dana on this stunning, beautiful guest today, and Scott is just jumping at the seams. He's chomping on the bit to interview her. So guess what? I'm going along for the ride. This is going to be a blast today.
Yeah, I literally called work and I was like, I'm going to be late because I have Dana Pharant on my show and I have to. Like, out of every guest that I've invited, this is the one show I wanted to be on, and it was the one show I was going to miss. I can't. Dana, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thanks, Scott. I wouldn't miss it for the world. This is going to be a blast.
Now, I'm a little nervous, to be honest, for a few reasons. Number one, I'm in a room with like two really powerful ladies. Two, Kim, the Fred Astaire to my Ginger, has decided to back off for the first time. And I don't know what to do with myself now. There's only so much a pencil skirt and high heels can do for me. But
oh, dear.
I'm so excited to get into this. Like, this is going to be a lot of fun. And so rather than, blow everything out of proportion here myself, I'm going to let you do that for us. But Kim said that I was going to be the first one to drop the word fuck on the show. She said that in the pre-call. So I figured I should probably get that out of the way right away. Let you know that this show's fucking awesome. It's my favorite. It's like therapy for me once a week. And I want you to be comfortable, get in, and just say what you got to say. I know you from, a few phone calls that we've had in the past and some online correspondence, but I really want our audience to get to know you for who you are, who you were, and what you're doing now. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Fantastic. Thanks, Scott. And the banter, if anybody has caught any of it online, Scott is constantly ribbing me. Because he just has so much fun with my background and history, and it is really a blast. I take it in good fun. So let me just give you a little of the highlights of my story, where I've come from, and where I'm going. So I grew up in a cult. So I believe that the Jehovah's Witness religion is a cult, and that's where I started from. So that was my extreme beginnings there. And then, wandered out in the world and, started my journey of healing all of that stuff, healing the various amounts of abuse that I've been through, which we're not going to get into a whole lot here. But needless to say, part of that journey led me into the kink world. And I used the kink stuff to actually heal my body from the sexual abuse. And, when I'd gone through the transformation through the side of it, I actually moved into the Dominatrix side. And so I spent a number of years exploring the world of being a Dominatrix and what that has done for me. And I've had so much fun and so many wonderful experiences. And for me, it's always been a journey of healing. So I see the Dominatrix very similar to coaching in that, I push people past where they think their limits are. I show them how strong they are, and give them an experience of surrender that allows them to have faith and peace in their life. And it's not something that most people think of when they think of Dominatrix, but that's what it's been for me. So that, of course, Dominatrix piece is the piece that Scott is so anxiously chomping at the bit. We may have to put a gag on him during this session, but
definitely.
So,
we don't have to put Well, Dana, between you and I, we can keep Scott. I call him my baby brother. We can keep my little baby brother. Calm down there over there.
Absolutely. But so
we can keep him in line. how does one go from and for the listeners, go Google Jehovah Witnesses. It's like you said, it's very cult like, and I think I'm with you, Dana. I think any religion, politics. I think a lot of that stuff is very cult like, because I think it plays on fear and it masters the mind to for people to think a specific way, which is very cult like. But I mean, not only is Jehovah Witness, I mean, that is an intense religion. How do you go from, being raised in that arena into, I love what you said, the kink world. I love that, the kink world. That is so cool.
That's the inside lingo. We call it the kink world. So. Yeah, it's a gradual process, and I would say for me, I always had these niggles, and it's so strange. People think it's really warped that, like, you go from an abusive household, and yet, you have sexual fantasies of being raped. And it's like, it's such a mind fuck in your brain that it really took me a number of years before I was willing to explore it. And I would credit one of my clients. So at the time I was a massage therapist, and one of my clients, she started with me, and she came out to the fact that she was involved in kink, and so that if I saw certain bruises, to not be alarmed, and she wanted to be able to say where they came from. So she came out to me, and then over the time I kept asking her questions. I'm like, well, how does that work, and what's that like, and and I just kept asking more questions, and she kept bringing in books, and I gradually got up the courage to explore it. And the person that I was with at the time, it really didn't work for me to explore it, because I wanted to explore the sub side, and he was very submissive. And so 2 subs in the same house, no, that doesn't work. Not very exciting. So when I finally left him, I dove headfirst into the kink world. And I, went to my first party, and I'm like saying to everybody, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines, and I'm just going to observe. And I think it was about an hour later, I was actually tied up on one of the equipment, and somebody was whipping me. And I'm like, and somebody comes like, oh yeah, just observe. So it's kind of a theme in my life that I just dive head first. I'm like, say yes, ask questions later. That's me.
Now, I love that, because that's one of the things, I'm a trial by fire, jump in feet first with a brick tied around my ankles type, and try to figure it out when I get there, right? And
Yes.
I believe firmly that every single person in the world has a kink factor of some degree. It's just that some people are a lot more immersed into it, and some people are a lot more comfortable with it. Other people are terrified. And I feel like with any amount of power, be it relinquishing power or having power and being comfortable with your power, they're afraid of it. So a lot of people, if it's not mushy middle, they won't explore at all. And for me, I've never been embarrassed by my kink factor. I know I've got one. I know it's there. I'm usually the dominant partner in the bedroom, which is weird because I'm kind of submissive out in the world. I let my partner do most of the thinking and talking out there. But once it gets into the bedroom, I'm typically the dominant one because I'm more comfortable with my sexuality and with that whole thing. But I will say that the one time my kink factor ever embarrassed me was the time you and I were talking in Mark Mowini's group, The Coaching Jungle.
Yeah.
And he told 1,500 people I was kinky.
Well, I think the fact that you've actually been, strung up by hooks, and you have pictures of that, that's pretty extreme.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest with you, that's not even a sexual release for me. That's got nothing to do with the whole kink side. My best friend facilitates that kind of thing. And that's more of it's gotten emotional release out of me. It's gotten physical release out of me. It's gotten spiritual release out of me, but it's never gotten any kind of sexual release out of me. So to be tied up into a machine getting flogged, I've never been that far, that's for sure. But I mean, how is it that, I'm sure you've had clients who are a little nervous at first, just starting to explore, what's it like to take someone who is terrified of kink and sexuality and ease them into this whole thing so that they're comfortable and they trust you, and that it's a constructive process and not a destructive one.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I got to jump in, Dana. Hang on.
Yeah,
Hold
yeah.
your thought on that. Hold your thought on that. Okay, okay. Do you know where I'm going with this in my head? Okay, I want to be one of those. What do you call those? Comic, like, those the warrior goddess, where you've got the black boots above the knees, and I got this skin tight black vest on, and it's taking my breasts and they're squeezing them together and pushing them up. No, this is not Victoria's Secret. I'm talking, with the skin tight, the fishnets, and I've got the whip, and I'm telling you, oh my God, I just took off on that head.
I don't think you should call me your little brother anymore, Kim. This is the interview that broke that.
I think there's some people that are going to need a cold shower at the end of this show. With that visual, woo!
So
that is pretty hot.
The whole power side of things, it's very empowering. As Kim was mentioning, you feel like a warrior, a goddess. You feel on top of yourself, but that the person that you're with, God knows what they're feeling. So what's that like?
Yeah, that's really, it's interesting. I think a lot of it, too, is that the misconceptions. So first of all, you say, what is it like to take somebody who's scared? I think most people are not scared. They label it as fear, but they're actually just like so giddy excited. It's like the new puppy that's so excited and they pee on the floor. It's that level of excited, right? They're like, ooh, and they're rightfully nervous because there is something to be nervous about. I mean, a scene can go terribly wrong. So the process is one where, a good scene process is that you sit down and you would spend upwards of 8, 9, 10 hours negotiating and talking in depth before you ever, break out any tools or toys or anything. And you want to talk about, it's like, okay, so what have you fantasized about? Or what have you thought about exploring? And then, to dive in, it's like, well, what's an absolute no? What do you go, oh, I'm totally repulsed by that. So that you can walk somebody through the process in a way that is slow and gentle in the beginning. And you push people gradually. Like, it's just like, with massage, when I was learning that, like, you don't come in and just like reef on the person with your elbows without doing any warm up. That causes tissue damage.
Yes.
Right? It's the same kind of thing. You ramp things up slowly. You keep checking in with them. And then, of course, the whole thing of, safe words. Most people have heard that term. And the reason you have a safe word is so that people can let go and know that if it ever goes too far, you just yell your safe word and the scene stops immediately. And that's a big piece of creating that container for people. But it's a longer process. You don't just jump in and start playing with somebody. That's where problems often happen, and that's where the psychological stuff gets screwed up for people. So
I love that because one, on our Facebook, I was told to have a safe word coming into this interview.
Yeah.
And and I really didn't think of one, so this could go anywhere. But two, like, I've noticed that I find it's more so in women than men, but I know with men it happens too, that in just a standard run-of-the-mill sexual experience, things can go wrong and cause trauma. So I can just imagine with something like, the dominant and sub relationship, how that could go seriously wrong without the right tact and the right etiquette.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're dealing with somebody and you know that they have, a trigger on a certain word or a phrase, well, you want to know that beforehand, before you go, yelling something out like, hey, bitch, like, rah, rah, rah. And, maybe they have a big trigger on the word being called a bitch because that was what was used for their, when they were actually abused or something, right? Like, you need to know those things ahead of time because it can go sideways really fast.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Definitely.
Now, why, Dana, so why would someone come to you? Is this to live out a fantasy? Is this also to maybe heal through something that has held them back in intimacy type relationships or environments?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I first want to just set up that I am now a former dominatrix. So just so I don't get those calls. I mean,
I'm going to call you anyway.
Woo,
yes. Yeah.
I'm going to call you anyway.
You can call me anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, it's a range. I mean, for me, I think because my spin has always been from the healing side, typically people, whether they cognitively or otherwise know it, they are coming to transition through something. And I had a lot of people come because they were, they had sexual abuse going on. And with all of the healing that I've done, I am really able to set up a very safe container that people can move through that, express it, get it out of their body, and have it come, have a healing experience that's very healthy for them. So that's one piece. There is, of course, the whole sexual fantasy. There's usually something underneath that sexual fantasy, though. There's something that they're wanting to work through or resolve, or maybe just feel more empowered that, hey, it's okay to express who I am, express this kink side of me.
Nice. I like that. So we're going to get into the healing side of things like a little later in the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just completely focused on the dominatrix thing for now. So I've got a couple questions here in front of me I'm dying to ask.
So Cole Johnson was completely right about you, Scott.
Yeah,
the
he
junior
was.
high giddy, the junior.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, absolutely. Because the people that I am used to dealing with are so afraid of sex. They're so afraid of kink. They're so afraid of power. They're so afraid of intimacy and relate. They're just closed off. And so for myself to get into a room with two women who do not mind talking about this stuff, this is like Disneyland on ecstasy with cotton candy for me.
Okay, now that was an image. Boy, that
was. I'm like, that's a whole other kink.
Exactly, right? This is insanity for me. This is great. But I just want to know, I'm sure some things have gone on that even had you thinking whoa, this is kind of interesting. So two questions I've been dying to ask is, one, what is your favorite scene to play out or your favorite thing to participate in? And then two, have clients ever asked you to do something that you were just like, whoa, okay, sure, but that's kind of surprising,
Okay, so favorite things for me, I really like the what we call floggers, which are, most people think of as in short whips. So the long ones, I don't have the hand strength to wield those, but I have a couple of really favorite short whips that I love. For me, it's very simple. Simple scenes. I'm not a big complicated scene person. I like bringing in some of the psychological. So, just tormenting them with, oh, maybe I won't whip you today, and having the person blindfolded and to sit there and, let them squirm of the fact that, you can't see what's going on. You don't know when it's going on. And it's a bit of a mental thing, right? You just have a little bit of a dance, a little bit of a game. I also love to bring in the sensual aspect of the play. So, you're having the pleasure and the pain mixed together for people, because there's really something interesting about that, and usually that's what shifts them over to making it more of a spiritual experience for them. They really start to move into surrender a lot faster when there's that mix. And it doesn't necessarily, when I say sensual, it doesn't, don't think sex, it doesn't have to lead to sex, but just that it becomes a very sensual, warm experience where I really connect with who they are on an energy level. And I guess the energy play is the other big factor for me.
Mm-hmm. And then, what
do I not? Going to parties, play parties, and we did some time going to. There are these awesome things called kinky camping, which is like a 4-day experience of just wild kinky things going on everywhere in the campground, and most people are walking around naked, which is very freeing. It's just a fun experience. I have one funny story. So the one time we went, and it was so bloody hot. It was stinking hot, and the campground was kind of a dust bowl. And then we'd have these moments of torrential downpour, so there'd be mud everywhere. And so you've got all these people walking around with umbrellas to keep the sun off their head, but they have rubber boots to stay out of the muck. And the rest of them is naked.
Umbrella,
like,
rubber boots, and nothing else.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's not really my kink, and it's not doing anything for me, but this is freaking hilarious. Like,
I feel like you need a calendar, like a calendar of people. Like each month is someone in like
Oh,
just
yeah.
a pair of boots with an umbrella. Or
yeah. So at those events, I saw some things that I know I would not be privy, like I would not partake in, but they're extreme for me. Like one that was I really felt extreme. So I actually witnessed somebody going through a crucifixion.
Oh
so
my
God!
Oh my God!
Yeah, like hands and feet nailed to. Nailed to a piece of wood.
Wow.
Yeah, this fellow, he loves extreme stuff, and it was like, I was like, whoa, okay, that's pushing beyond my limits. So I couldn't even stay to watch it. So there's lots of things that I won't engage in, like what they call scat play, which is human excrement. Any kind of human excretions. I think from my health background, I'm like, no. I know too much. Yeah. So I can't go there. But yet I understand the eroticism of it for people. It's just not something that I can engage in because of, like I said, my background. So that's the cool thing. Like there's lots of things you can get talking with people and say, okay, what is it that makes that erotic? And I can, engage intellectually with it, but not have to actually go there.
Nice. So without naming any names or going into extreme detail, was there something,
Okay.
was there ever something that a client like proposed to you where you were like, you know what, that sounds exciting, let's do that, but it wasn't necessarily something you were used to or did before, and you were just like, no, this is going to be a learning experience for both of us?
I had one client who asked me to do suspension. Now, not the kind of, hook suspension that I've seen for you, but like, tied up and suspended with ropes. And I've experienced it, but I hadn't actually done it. Now, we ran out of time in the scene. We didn't end up getting to that, but I had, I went out and researched all of the gear and the equipment and had it all set up. And, I had in my dungeon, I have the beams exposed. And so I had, got all the hooks and everything set up to be able to do it. But I still need someone to suspend and beat.
Oh my God, I want a dungeon. I want a dungeon. Oh my God, Dana, you said it. Oh,
I was just about to say,
jealous.
You're dealing with a real deal when a lady can just casually say, in my dungeon.
My dungeon. I know.
Yeah. My dungeon is now a spare room, and some of my friends who have come to stay, they're like, at first they were really freaked out. They're like, I don't think I can sleep in here because this used to be a dungeon. They're over it now, but,
Oh, this just makes me happy. The fact that was so casually thrown in there. Yeah, my dungeon all has exposed beams. Like I need someone to hang up and beat down there, but it's a spare room now. It's where I do most of my work. It's the office. No, I'm like, the thing is, like with me, I've done hook suspension. So for me, rope suspension doesn't sound scary at all. And I mean, like flogging is just a sharper spanking to me. So I'm down. I am down. I would be so cool for that. That sounds like fun.
Well, you got to get your ass over here to Toronto.
Yes. Oh my
God. That
Dana,
is funny.
I was just talking to Kim on the pre-show. I have been invited to live in Toronto, and I was thinking of taking it up. So now I'm putting my whole foot in my mouth.
Well, Scott.
There you go.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my. This is. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So luckily you don't do this stuff anymore. So let's transition into the stuff that you do now.
I don't know. I still have those whips.
You'd make an exception for me, would you?
I would, just for you.
Oh, lovely. Kim, you're going to have to calm. You're going to have to hold my hand. I'm scared.
Oh my
We
God.
might have to do like a live feed of that.
Oh my God. Let me tell you something. I will be more than happy to hold your hand under these terms. Oh my God.
You would sit there with a Corona and laugh at me is what you would do.
Absolutely.
Oh, you better
Kim, we
believe that.
Kim, we could sell tickets for this.
Oh my God, this is huge. Oh my God, this is huge.
Give me podcasting advice, little boy. Smack. So let's transition a bit. I know Dominatrix is not your shtick anymore. You're doing something so much deeper, so much bigger now, in my opinion. And I've gotten to experience that already on a phone call. The whole energy work, the healing, the empowerment, the just getting people over whatever emotional, spiritual, just connectivity issues they're having with themselves. I'll just briefly go into it. I was having a bit of an issue with finances and stress and all of that a few months back. And I got in touch with Dana because I heard she does energy work. And like I knew logically, I had it all figured out. I wasn't logically upset. I was not emotionally that bad either, but there was just something off-putting, some sort of anxiety I couldn't get over. So I was like, you know what? I'm an energy skeptic. Definitely. I'm the kind of person like you'd think I'd be all down for that, but I'm like, you know what? I don't believe you could do anything with a phone call. Let's try this. So I called Dana. I called Dana from a place of like completely closed mind. Well, not complete closed mindedness, but like just very skepticism, you know? And I was like, I don't think this is going to happen. By the end of the conversation, I was clammy. My palms were sweating. I was like vibrating. I felt good. I felt bad. I felt all over the place. But by the time we were done talking, I was completely clear and had everything figured out for the next little while, you know? And it was just the most interesting conversation that I'd had. So I'd love for you to kind of explain what it is you do and how it is you get that kind of effect on people just from a phone call.
I love it. Scott, like it's so great that you put that out there because so many people are skeptical about what it would do, and you know, it doesn't have to be done in person and all that kind of thing. But so I'll do my best to explain it because energy work doesn't have really great language just yet, and you know, trying to translate something from Greek to English doesn't always translate, and so trying to translate something from energy to words. Keep in mind that it's one of those things that it's really great to experience it. And then, even then, one of my best testimonials I had from a client, she said, I still can't explain what you do. And this is like after 6 months of working with me. She says, I still can't explain what you do, but I want more. So when I'm working with people now, I still love that, empowerment, getting people to step into their power and pushing them a little bit, just gradually pushing them so that they go further than they think that they can. And it's done through this, a combination of verbal talk therapies. I'll talk you through what's going on, but we combine that with the energy so it allows me to get in to the very root of what's going on. Because, your brain has one piece of the puzzle, your heart has another piece of the puzzle, and then your energy system is where you store kind of the heart of the program of what's going on. So we get right into that heart of the program, rip it out, change it, and then things shift dynamically. Because if you just change the emotional piece, then you still have all that other stuff going on. And if you just change the mindset, well, you still have this layer underneath like the iceberg, right? So it's a process to take people through changing all of it at once. And it's something that I've developed over the last, years of working with clients and doing the Dominatrix work. And so now I can bring in the energy of that, the feel of that for people. And it's this whole comprehensive program. So hopefully that gives a taste of it.
Kim, do you have anything to toss into energy work? Do you have any experience with energy so far?
Yeah, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you, Scott. You're like, I'm a little skeptical going to energy work, but my hands are. I've had some energy work done. I've had it done via phone. I have partners and colleagues that get into energy work. Actually, one that I can think of off the top of my head lives right in Toronto, and she has done some energy work for me. I wasn't even on the phone with her. So I truly believe in energy work because we are human beings. We're a ball of energy if you really get down to it, so I've responded to energy work. It's not, so everybody listening with energy work, it's not a one-time phone call. It's not a one-time go to your local, drive locally. So you have to do it. And you have to, it's like working out. You can't just do a set of bicep curls today and expect to have the guns, the beefy arms that you want, the toned arms that you want. You have to keep working at it. You have to keep doing it. It's an ongoing.
Yeah.
But you know what? With that all being said, is I see everything, being out there on social media, it still behooves me. I just shake my head and I just go, really, people, we still are talking about in the 21st century that women need to take care of themselves. Okay. And I don't want to trail off here, pull away from you, Dana, but for a moment, we're still saying women got to schedule this in. Women, okay, let the fucking estrogen guilt come through, okay? But deal with it and go fucking take care of yourself. And energy work is one way of doing that, or going to get a massage, or, working, whatever the case may be. But to me, when I go get my energy work and stuff like that done, that's part of my self-care. And I do energy work specifically because I've been in 2 car accidents. I have neck issues, and that helps with the neck issues.
Absolutely.
So that was my little soapbox for a moment. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Take it on back.
No, Kim, I love I love your analogy with the gym, because I do use that quite a bit in my work. I tell people it's, using the tools over and over again is that muscle development. And, if you keep working with them, keep applying them, you do develop the skills and the strength, and suddenly, you look and it's like, oh, I'm really buff. And on an energy level, for most people, it's not just stepping into your power, but also, stop taking on other people's crap. And that's a process that you have to learn. And, if I work with people either one or in a group, it's that, constant rechecking in, making sure, and just like going to the gym, right? You just going for your workouts and keep getting it reinforced until it becomes a habit and becomes natural. Even then, I still go for sessions for me.
So, here's one of my questions. And again, I'm stomping on Scott's toes today because I know he's got tons more questions. But so how did you transition from Dominatrix into, you are whole body healing. You're about, Dana, you're about the whole body healing. And you are not just yucking it on up with your talk. You really are walking your talk, because, a little bit about your background, being I don't even like you. I'm sorry, Dana. I don't like using the word survivor. You are thriving. You are a thriver of, the multiple sexual abusers. And, and that kink was such a pivotal point. And now into this energetic, beautiful healing work that you offer to clients. It's like, how do you keep making these transitions?
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to understand that a transition is often gradual. There's so much hype out there with everybody going, oh, you can make 6 figures in 60 days and BS like that, right? Stop the fucking hype, really. And stop thinking that you're going to fix all of your life problems in one session. Like, one session is not going to transform your money situation. You're suddenly going to change everything. It is a process. In my transformation, I started in personal development when I was 16. So, I hate giving away my age, but, I'm 45 now. So from, for the last 30 years, just shy of, I've been working on my inner growth, my personal development. And then, with my work, like I said, I started out in massage therapy just after my 21st birthday. I started working with clients. And so I've been working with people for 24 years. And it's an evolution. So I started out in massage, and I quickly found that I needed to get into the energy side of it, because I would do a massage and then I would need a 2-hour nap because I took on so much of their energy. Mm-hmm. And, so then I started learning that piece. And then I realized, what? A lot of the stuff that people are dealing with in their bodies is their fucking emotional shit, right? The baggage is just showing up in their muscles. So I was like, okay, so now I need these tools. So I would go out and I would, I learned a lot of psychotherapy techniques and neuro-linguistic programming. And, then I switched into meridian tapping. And then, eventually I took something called Access Consciousness, which has become another cult. But, there's all these things, right? it's a constant evolution. It's not just one thing. And for me, I've always been focused on what works, right? I'm always looking for what works. You know, if a technique doesn't work, I'm dropping it. But if a technique does work, I leave it in. It's like in my toolbox. And that's been my mindset to constantly evolve my process to find better, faster, stronger.
I love it. And
why sit around? Why sit around and twiddle-dee and twiddle-dum? You know, Dana, you're young at 45. At 48, I had a huge pivotal life change. And that's why I really started getting serious about turning in personal growth work, which, by the way, everybody listening, here's my other soapbox for today. We don't just go off on a beautiful retreat.
Frolic in the sand.
Yes.
And come back, we're healed and we're safe.
Oh, yes.
That is ongoing until the day you live this human body suit that we are on borrowed time for. That's just a suit, that human body thing, that's just a suit. So, it's just, so don't just think that we're going to give Dana a call and she's going to do a clearing and a healing over the phone and everything will all be solved. That is just a beginning. So, I love that. I love, that people, we really do. We've got so much emotional baggage. And I believe, I'm not a doctor, let me say that out loud, nor a scientist, a lot
Really?
of emotion.
I quit.
Scott, seriously. No, I'm serious. I'm not a doctor. Did I tell you that? Okay.
No, but I just assumed.
Scott, block your ears. I still want you to believe that I am a doctor. And
Okay.
I'm the goddess. Okay.
Isn't that what your marketing said? You're a doctor and you can fix me in 30 days straight and teach me how to make $1 million? Like I can lie too.
Yes, we've graduated from the 90 days to the 30 days with all that bullshit out there on social media.
Exactly.
But
you're not a doctor. You believe.
I'm not a doctor. So, but with all that being said, I kind of lost my track of thought because Scott interrupted me there. But still, seriously, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but I think that emotional baggage is causing all the fucked up inflammation inside of our body, which that inflammation is leading to cancers, arthritis, all these damn diseases, which I'm older than both of you. And I think back to when I was younger, when I was in elementary school, you never heard the C word cancer. You never heard the C word cancer. Never.
No.
So there's a lot going on with all of us. Not only do we have, all these electronics, which plays into our emotional baggage, which adds to the inflammation. It's like a dominoes effect. I said dominoes, everybody, not dominatrix, dominoes.
I got excited for a minute there.
I bet you did, Scott. But I think it's, and that's the other thing too. I don't believe in traditional medicine. I do believe there's a time and a place for it. I personally do all alternative medicine. My Dr. MD is traditional medicine, but at any given time, drop down. If you need an antibiotic, he's prescribing. But anyways, I have so many friends that go, like I work with essential oils. I have a dog that's allergic to everything. They'll go like, can I try the oils? And they'll take a bottle of the oil and come back to me the next day and go, it didn't work. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Okay. Yeah, well, how many medications have you been taking that you're so clogged up with? Of course the essential oil didn't work in one day. We're such a get-fixed, instantaneous society. I want to make money tomorrow. I launched my business 5 minutes ago. I got to be making money tomorrow. We're all so messed up. We are so inside out and upside down.
Band-Aid solutions to root problems.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had a personal experience when I was on the phone with Dana that I kind of wanted to share a little bit. And one of the things is that, again, I called Dana because I was having a deep experience. Like I was having an experience that I couldn't put my mind, like my finger on emotionally, physically, logically. Like I had everything figured out. I had everything mapped out. But there was just one area that I knew I was lacking. And that was the energy side of it. And while we were on the phone, she did something that kind of caught me off guard initially, but I was able to figure out why very quickly. And Dana, I know you remember this. When we were talking, and you were like, all right, Scott, you are this, you are this, you are this, you are this. And you said a lot of really nice things, and I can't put my finger on exactly what they were now, but they were all very factual things.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, okay, how do you feel right now? And so I explained to you, like, I'm like, well, I'm standing straight up. I feel very clear, very happy, very this, very that. And then immediately after, like, yeah, well, you're a piece of shit. You don't know anything. And, like, you know, and then right, I was like, what? This lady doesn't even know me. What the hell is she doing? And then right after that, you were like, now how do you feel? And I was like, well, my hands are kind of clammy. I'm deflated. I'm not standing as straight. I'm kind of hunched over. Like, and I was explaining like the physical side of it and my reactions to. And right after that, you were like, now you know what a true response feels like in your body and a fake response. Or like, you know, how you respond to the truth and how you respond to false things. So now can you apply that to what I'm about to tell you? And we went in depth with some other stuff. But it was just really interesting to me how, like, in a matter of seconds, my physicality and my emotions and my energy all changed, snap of a finger like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like this is the energy side, but sometimes people label as something else. But we all get these informations coming. That's a really great word, right? Information. We all get an awareness or information coming from our bodies, but so many of us want to ignore it. And then when you look back, you go, damn, I knew. Like, my intuition was niggling me. I knew. Your intuition is, like, 100% right all the time. But it's learning to listen to it.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's something that I find, like, I'll have a gut reaction to something, and my body will react one way, and my mind will immediately go to rewrite that programming and say, no, that can't be it.
What's a default button? It's a default button. It's just like on our computers and things, how you set up stuff and, there's a default and we go to change the default and sometimes it flips back to the default. I think our bodies, our minds are programmed the same way. We have to keep retraining, resetting that default, reset it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I always like the analogy of the computer is what I use for energy work, in that a lot of what I do is going in and removing the viruses and the malware and the crappy programs that are running in the background that aren't doing you any good.
Yeah, and we pick them up from everywhere too. Family, friends, coworkers, like TV, music, like everywhere. We pick up all of these programs that aren't necessarily us, but maybe we resonated with them because we were conditioned into it, or it hit us a certain way at a certain time in our life. It doesn't mean it's properly serving you.
Well, there is one thing that does properly serve me, and right now they're on a season break. But that would be on Thursday nights with James Spader, The Blacklist. And I tell you what, he would do Dominatrix with me. I know he would. I know he fucking would. There is something about that man and that character, The Blacklist, that program. Oh my God.
I love it.
Oh man. Okay.
So Dana, what are you up to now? What's big right now with what you're working on?
I think the biggest thing right now is I've been moving into group work. So I've been taking my success with my one-to-one, what I call a VIP programs, and moving that into a semi-private format. So I take very small groups and put them together, people that have similar goals and similar challenges, and then we take them through a 5-month process. And for most of the time, it is about getting people to step into their power. That's usually the underlying theme: stepping into your power and getting out of the wrongness of you loop that everybody loves to default to. So I'm having a lot of fun with those. And then I just finished a very controversial webinar series called Life After Access. So if there's anybody listening that has been part of Access, that's a really fun program. And it was so great for me to push the envelope again. I loved that. So.
We love
Nice.
pushing envelopes. We love going to the edge. We love controversy.
Yeah, so
No, really?
for
Yeah.
anyone who has listened to the show in the past and said we were nowhere near down and dirty enough, I think we fucking owned it this time. Like, honestly, how do you get more down and dirty than this? So,
Yeah.
so here's a question that I have for you then. As far
Yeah.
as the average person who might not know a lot about limits, boundaries, and how to respect them, how to navigate them, how to negotiate them with a partner or a colleague or a family member, like where energy is concerned and where pushing that envelope is concerned, how do you go about getting your point across or what you want out of such relationship, but still respecting their limits and bounds?
Wow. Okay, Scott, could you make that question a little bigger? Because, the scope of that is like,
Well,
yeah.
I
So,
feel like it's the same whether you're talking about like pushing someone's boundaries either sexually in the bedroom or whether
yeah,
you're slamming up against boundaries in a relationship from an emotional state
Yep.
or you're pushing
yeah,
up against boundaries in a business negotiation, what have you. The respect has to be
yeah.
the same, right? And I feel like there's a way to approach it from an emotional level where you can actually
Sure.
navigate it properly and get what you need and create a win-win.
Yeah, and again, here it comes back to the thing of like this is not an instant solution because like what you're talking about requires a few things to go on. One, we got to get you like if we were saying it's you, right? Like first of
Yeah.
all, I need you to get to a place where you don't have judgment about you and you don't have judgment about the other person. And when you have no judgment about you or the other person, you then negotiation becomes an easy thing because you're going for win-win or no deal. But when we have judgments of where other people are coming from or where we're sitting or we want to make ourselves wrong, it's really hard to negotiate from a place of power. So that piece, I mean, that in itself, getting people out of judgment is a big piece. Getting them out of making themselves wrong is a those are big muscle development pieces, and it doesn't happen overnight. So from there, when you have that platform of you don't make yourself wrong and you're not in judgment, now you can start to kind of go pull back and say, okay, what is it that I really want? What do I want to get out of this? And then, doing that thought process of like, okay, well, what's underneath that? So you can start to, really get, so it's not the surface. It's not, oh, I want to have a job that pays me $150,000 a year. It's like, okay, well, what's underneath that? And, what does that do? And what, like taking the big scope, you can take a bigger picture when you're not making yourself wrong and you're not having any fear of losing everything. I think that's probably the third big piece is the willingness to lose everything. So when I have the foundation of, getting out of making yourself wrong and getting out of judgment, then the third piece is the willingness to lose absolutely everything. And then you have no attachment to what goes on. You can play this game from a place where it's so much fun, and you're willing to dive in and it's like, hey, or yes, I'll show up and figure it out. So that's the short answer.
Yeah, because I feel like with the whole dominatrix side of thing, with the energy work side of thing, like any conversation that I've had with you so far, I've noticed that you're very good at being, one, respectful, two, getting your point across really clearly, but three, pushing the boundaries of people and having them I'm not going to say surrender to you in a way that's like oppressive, but surrender any inhibitions they have or any fears or worries they have. You come from a place where you're like, hey, let's set that aside for a moment. We can revisit that, but I really need you to, like open up, listen up, and let's go from here. And I noticed like typically with me, I'm very closed off. I've got my opinions and I keep them. But when we were on the phone, I was like, no, you know what? Let's hear this lady. I really want to know what she's got to say. And it was
Yeah.
just such a natural transition that I didn't notice it happening until after we hung up. And I went, wait a minute.
Sneaky.
Not even. That's the thing is it was not
Yeah.
sneaky or
Not.
you told me what you were doing the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And
And
that's,
so,
but I think a lot of that is the fact that, like, I've done so much of my own inner work, and I don't have judgments of where people are at. So when you're telling me what's going on or whatever, I'm not sitting there judging you. I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm just being aware of where the energy is. I'm following the energy and noticing where the blocks are so we can unlock it. but I have no point of view about who you are or what you're doing.
That's, something, Dana, that right there is an example of someone who does their own personal work, their own interpersonal growth work, to be able to, it's a tough thing to do, to be able to detach yourself emotionally, so to speak, for lack of better words in time here, from the environment, from the client, from the whole environment, and that takes a lot of work. I'm able to do it because a lot of work that I've done on myself. I teach for a nonprofit here locally, and I've watched my adults that we're working with kids in the high school. It's a leadership course. I watch my adults that are coming in that are volunteering, or my co-facilitator, and the fucking baggage that they bring in. And I have to look and go, look, something, we all have it. We all have that fight with the significant other before we walk into something. Or, or we just lost a huge account, or, what life, aging parents, oh my gosh. And a dog that is sick. And to me, that's my child. A dog that is sick is huge. Excuse me. But to be able to detach from that is huge. All right, now I'm going to go on a coughing fit. Hold on.
No worries. Yeah, I find that that's the thing, detachment, being able to detach yourself from the outcome and actually be able to think about the process, and not necessarily how you feel about it, but how you were to feel if it were fixed. Like the one thing you and I spoke about is just being able to strip myself bare bones. Like just completely stripped down, not clothing wise, because, we weren't having that kind of meeting. But it was, you basically, by the end of it, I was able to I was sitting there, and all I was vibration, just vibrating. There was no emotions. I didn't feel happy or sad about anything. I didn't feel perplexed or anxious about anything. I just felt about everything. And I wasn't putting labels on it or trying to figure anything out. I was just sitting there literally feeling. And it was the coolest experience.
And some people call that being present.
Yes.
That's what they mean.
Yep, being present. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not just a buzzword?
Yes. No, it's not.
No, it's not. But it's something that most people use as a buzzword because they've never experienced it. And for me, the Dominatrix world was the first place that I got to experience that deep level of being present, being space, being in my body. When you're having that visceral experience where somebody's whipping you, it puts you into your body. And most of us walk around nowhere near in your body. I see some people and it's I look at them and I'm like, you are 1% in your body. And some of those people, there are some speakers that I cannot go and listen to because they are just so not in their body. It's painful for me to be around.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I agree. And I agree. I think you're complimenting them by saying 1%. I agree. I see it. I mean, we are such a dumb society. We're like, what's that? That program or that movie, The Walking Dead. I mean, we're like freaking zombies. I see it all the time. I see people are so detached from their bodies. But I'll tell you what, Dina, they're so detached from their bodies, but they're so attached to everyone else's bullshit. It's just and that comes back around to the high energy that you walk, the high consciousness, and the work that you've done within yourself to heal and to continue to heal, how you can detach from someone else's stuff. That's what Scott, she gave you a sacred space to be you and to feel what you wanted to do. And Dana had zero outcome on that. It was your outcome. And it takes a very intense continual healing person to be able to step into that, because we all, especially the word see coaches out there, all these coaches go into environments and they have such an attachment. They want you as a client. They want money. They have an outcome for you, and they haven't even asked the fucking question of what you even want, but that's our society. That is our society.
A lot of meat suits walking around with big egos.
No,
Yeah.
huge. Huge.
Yeah.
And it's not
Thank
until
you,
you
Kim.
strip yourself of all that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I'm honored. Both of you have just given me such high praise and compliments. I love it. Thank you.
Yes. Well, you brought it to the show today. So before we wrap the show up, now that I'm not on one of my coughing fits, oh my God, I almost made it a whole damn hour. I didn't quite get there.
Oh.
I know. So, Dana, how can everyone get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So probably the easiest route to find all the contact is neversayoops.com. So oops is 2 O's in case you don't know how to spell, like me.
love it.
And Dermot Boeing. Which of course is the play off the Dominatrix. And then if you want to, connect via Facebook, you're welcome to reach out. I am probably the only Dana Pharant on Facebook or anywhere. I think I'm the only Dana Pharant in the world. Yay! And so, so my name is spelled Dana, and the last name is Pharant as in Thomas.
I love it. Thanks so much. Everyone track Dana down. Dana, God, it was just, we could probably go on for at least another hour here.
Oh, I could.
Easily. I mean, just easily.
Yeah.
But, with that being said,
thanks.
We'll have to swing back around and have you back on later on in the year.
For sure.
Thanks so much for jumping on the show.
And can I just do one little shout out? I have on my website, if you go to the landing page off to the right, there is a free download there, which is really just a fabulous free download in that it's a self-clearing, kind of like a guided meditation, but a guided meditation on steroids. And I've had people say to me that it is 10 times more effective than anything else they've tried that's self-help. So that is a fabulous free resource that people can go to the website and grab.
Beautiful. Giving stuff to the audience. Love it.
I know.
Okay, so can I just say these are my last words for today?
Okay.
Here is, oh my God, so Dana, you are so pretty, but you do not look like a dominatrix at all. I had to say it.
I'm the non-scary dominatrix.
Yeah, there you go.
Non-scary to who? You have a dungeon, woman.
I love it.
Had.
I'm sure it's like a convertible. It's like Kim's little convertible
Absolutely.
Mercedes. It could be a dungeon, or you could just turn it into a spare room.
Hey, the hooks are still on the ceiling for you, babe.
Oh, snap. That is probably the best way to end this.
Boy is moving to Toronto. Woo.
ASAP. Well, I got to say, first and foremost, thank you both so much for the amazing interview. I loved this show. This was awesome.
Me too.
That was great.
Fabulous. Thank you.
It was great. Yes, it was really nice. Again, Dana, thank you for stepping in today. And Scott, we're all just about here at the top of the hour.
Just about.
I know. So
it hurts me to leave.
I know. Every week it just hurts me to leave too. I know.
I'm too attached.
You can call me and I'll help you detach.
Yes. There's always a smartass in the room, I tell you.
Oh, it's always me too.
Don't we know that? Anyways, everybody, thanks for joining in. Dana, if you could just sit tight, we're going to wrap up the show and we'll swing back around here in a moment here. And again, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. It's a blast as usual, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Kim, again for another stellar show. I look forward to it every week.
Absolutely. I do too. And speaking of every week, everyone join us right back here, same time, same place over at Bold Radio Station, Wednesday afternoons, 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Down and dirty. We got to get it dirtier. We got to get down-er and dirtier.
Rub some more dirt on it.
And, of course, our crazy producer, Nesha, who the whole time, I'm surprised I didn't hear any clearing of his throat in our ears this time.
Either we were well behaved or he walked away from his computer because
I
This
think
is the
he was
quietest he's
under
ever
his
been.
computer going, oh my God, it's these two again. Here we go. Rolling
Usually.
his eyes. All right, get on out there, everybody, and make it a great week. We'll hear you right back here, same place, same time next week. We'll see you then.